That's what I want to do. Okay. So we're recording now because there's a couple of people that it's got to miss. Where was I? Oh, yes. Looking at these papers with a more critical eye the next time. So please incorporate the feedback that I gave you. This is also the first time in which I have had everybody use AI. I've never done that before, and I think it worked out really, really well this time. Your rough draft, I really like those of you that bulleted your rough draft. I think that's the best way to go because it kind of puts your thoughts down. Executive summary, main issue, concepts, and then recommendations. I think it's best if you just bullet that, send it to me by Thursday, then I can take a look at your thoughts, which is a good thing. And then you can put it into AI. Now, here's the thing, though. Make sure that you give me the rough draft and the AI finished paper in 2 separate files. That's really important. Make sure it's in 2 separate files. The second thing is, and I'm going to tell you again next Monday when we get together, because not this Sunday, but the next Sunday, your next paper's due. What I want you to do is I want you to title your paper, your name, the case, and then rough draft, or your name, the case, and then final. That way I know what I'm opening when I'm opening up your shared document. Also, remember to share it with me. I really like it if you just share it with me in a Google Doc. Some of you put it into PDF, that's fine. But what I cannot have is I cannot have you email it to me in Word. That doesn't work for me because what I have to do with your papers is I've got to turn it into a PDF, which is really easy if you send it to me on Google Doc, or if it's already in a PDF, that's great too. But if it's in Word, it's a whole bunch of steps to try to get that thing into a PDF. Because if it's not into a PDF, I can't write all over it and then share it back with you. So make sure that you share it with me, either share it with me as a PDF or share it with me as a Google Doc, but please do not email it to me as a Word document or anything other than those two, because then it's has a tendency to be very difficult for me to manipulate. Now, did anybody not receive their feedback? Because if you didn't receive your feedback, there's something wrong. Go ahead, Dan. You're on mute.
I don't know. I just don't know maybe where in Brightspace to find the notification. It's not appearing for me.
No, it's not in Brightspace, Dan. What I did was I just shared it with you as on Google Drive. So look on your Google Drive. If you still didn't get it, send me an email and I will share it again, or I'll email it to you. But what I did is I just shared it back to you on Google Drive. It's not on Brightspace. So
Dan,
that's another
thing. Dan, it might be a student email.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to check now.
Yeah, you know, that's the other thing. Cooper, that's a really good point, because those of you that are both employees and students, it doesn't allow me, once I hit 1, like if I go Cooper Breed at students FJFC, it won't allow me to send it to you as just Cooper Breed SJFC. So look at your student email as well as your work email, because I can only do one of them. Good point, Cooper. Thank you very much for chiming in there. Anybody else not receive feedback from me? All right, great. Oh, by the way, you guys all did really well on your papers. I was very pleased. Everybody met my expectations. One or two of you exceeded my expectations and you got a 1. The rest of you, I think, all got zeros. 0 is what you're shooting for. 0 is a good thing. So keep up the good work. That's excellent. All right. Next thing on the agenda is the quiz. I sent you an email, I believe it was last Tuesday. Remember, when you take the quiz, there's 2 short answers. And AI, unless you got it exactly the way that I put it in, AI will mark it wrong. So what I do is, after every quiz, I go in and I look at your short answers. And then I amend AI's grade. AI does the multiple choice. That's easy. You know, you either got it right or you didn't. But with the short answer, I've got to go in and amend that. So after you take the quiz, it's not oftentimes reflected of your final grade. I didn't need to curve it. The mean was exactly where I like it to be, which is right at 85, which is perfect. Y'all did really, really well. If you didn't do as well on the quiz as you had hoped, that's okay. Everything's going to be fine. Nobody is in danger of getting a bad grade. Nobody is in danger of not doing well in this class. Remember, you know, 40% of the grade is just doing the work. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later when we talk about the project, because we got to talk about that. But anyways, the quiz was really good. We have a quiz coming up, I believe Monday. Wait, is it Monday? Here, let me take a look. Hang on a second. I got to share my screen. Let's see. Let's just take a big old look here. Yeah, today's week 4, June 8th. So you have a quiz on Monday, questions 5, 6, or chapters 5, 6, and 7. We're going to finish chapter 5 today. We're going to go over chapter 6, and then you're responsible for the video lecture of chapter 7. So it's going to be the same thing that we did the last time. Let me stop sharing here. It's going to be the same thing that we did last time. The quiz is going to open. It won't be visible to you, but it will be visible to you at 6:15. We'll take it from 6:15 to 7:15, and then we'll start our regular class period. So quiz next week, 5, 6, and 7. If anybody has any questions, needs any help or anything like that, let me know, and we'll go from there. Okay, so see, I talked about the paper. That's done on my agenda. I talked about the quiz. That's done on the agenda. All right, so let's share our screen. Let's go like that, and let's go over here to PowerPoint. Oh, man. Don't you just love it when a plan comes together? Okay, the last time we talked, we were finishing up segmentation. Again, I think segmentation is one of the most important concepts of marketing. And the 7 ways of segmenting a market is demographic, psychographic, generational, geographic, geodemo, benefits, and usage. We're going to start with demographic. Demographic is what I call the visual type of segmentation. Talks about age, gender, ethnicity, race, those types of things that really define a person. Generally speaking, in all segmentation, gender is usually the first cut. Age is usually the second cut. And then income is usually the third cut. Most people will segment their market with gender first, age second, and then income third. The next one is psychographic segmentation. And we talked a little bit about this last week. I used Dylan as an example because he plays baseball and other hobbies and interests. But really, it's your state of mind. It's your motivation. It's your attitudes. It's your opinions. It's your interests. It's your values, your lifestyles, your hobbies, and your personality. All of those things are based on a psychographic segmentation. Oftentimes, very high-end products like Lexus, BMW are generally speaking segmented based on psychographic because of lifestyle or because of things like that. Also demographic with income. The other thing that I want you guys to take a look at, and what I'd like for you to do, because I think it's covered on the quiz. I haven't looked at the quiz lately, but I think it's covered on the quiz. Take a look at Val's framework. Val's stands for values, attitudes, and lifestyles. It's based on Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of effects model. And there's 8 categories of psychographic segmentation: innovators, thinkers, achievers, experiencers, believers, strivers, makers, and survivors. What I think that you ought to do is just hit Google and type in Val's framework, and it gives you a really good explanation. Val's kind of really combines the demographic and psychographic segmentation and puts it in 8 different categories. And it's groundbreaking stuff that came out in the mid-70s, but really took hold in the 80s and the 90s with regards to segmenting a market. So take a look at Val's. I would encourage you to do that. You know, it'll only take you a couple minutes just to Google it in, but I think that I would encourage you to do that. Generational segmentation is something fairly new. Generational segmentation came about in the 90s. And generational segmentation also segments based on psychographic segmentation as well as demographic segmentation, mostly age. So they have different categories based on really when you were born. However, it goes beyond just age and beyond just the demographic. You have baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and I don't know when they changed it to millennials, because when I was studying this way back in graduate school, back in 1997, we called it Gen Y, but they changed it to millennials. And you'll still hear in some of the research out there, the researchers referring to millennials as Gen Y, but they changed it to millennials, and then Gen Z. Most of you guys are either Zs or millennials. But one of the things about generational segmentation is not only does it take into effect, you know, your age and when you were born, but also your values and attributes, workforce value, and then global events that have shaped your life. For instance, I'm an Xer. And one of the key things that really shaped my life, and it wasn't really landing on the moon, because I was only about 5 when that happened. Not even, I was probably about 3 when that happened. But the fall of the Soviet Union and the fall of the Berlin Wall, that was huge for me, because it was really the end of the Cold War. So, and then millennials, the big thing is the rise of technology, but more importantly with millennials, it's the rise of terrorism. You know, September 11th, 2001 changed the world. It changed the world. And so that really has shaped a lot of the millennials' values and things like that. And Z's, the big thing is the rise of screen time and social media. What's not shown here, and you might see this in your workforce or whatever, is the next generation coming up. And those, they're kind of debating on now whether to call that the iGen because of iPhones or the alphas. I've heard it being called the alphas in some research. I've heard it being called the iGen in some research. It's not a big deal right now because they don't have a lot of buying power, but they are going to be a force. And so that's generational segmentation. Obviously, geographic segmentation is just that. It's where you live. Different products for different climates, different places where you live. And then benefits and usage segmentation. Benefits is based on the benefits sought. Insurance segments based on benefits. You know, you can have home, you can have auto, you can bundle your home and auto, you can have collision, you can have full liability, all those types of things. And then usage segmentation is based upon how much a consumer would use. A lot of products are based on usage segmentation. You know, you got different kinds of Coke. You know, you got a 12 ounce, you got 2 liters, and all those different things based on how much you're going to use. Business markets are basically segmented. Number one is by geographic location, because the number one promotional plan for most businesses are sales representatives, and it's very expensive to have a sales rep traverse all over the country. So a lot of times it's geographic location. That's changing some with the advent of Zoom and other things like that. And then usually it's size and then product usage. And that is going to do it for chapter 5. Aren't we pleased? Okay, so let me go back to my agenda. Hang on, going back to my agenda here. I can just check that dog off right there. Okay, now let's go back to the syllabus. I know I talked about the syllabus a little bit, but I want to go back to it. Things are going to start heating up pretty shortly here, because the last week of the semester is a big week. You got a quiz, you got a paper, and you got your project all due in that last week. And again, don't badmouth me. It's a short semester and it's very, very compressed, I guess would be the good word. Very compressed. So tonight, I want to talk a little bit about groups and your project. And then I want to make sure that the first 15 minutes before our quiz next week, in week 5, everybody has a group. I've gotten some emails from some of you. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. That said that you're already in a group, and that's great. Some of you might have a group, but I have not. I haven't heard from you or not. So, but you should really, starting about end of this week, next week, your group should be getting together because it's a major project. All right. So now let me do this. Hang on a second. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing so I can see all your beautiful faces. All right. How many of you have already formed a group? If you have, give me a thumbs up, raise your hand. Got thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay. All right. How many have not formed a group? Give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, good. All right. So what I want to do now, I know it is going to be painstakingly difficult because this is Zoom and it's Hollywood Square, but that doesn't make any difference. We got to get it done. So hang on a second. I go back to my week 1 agenda. That's a long time ago. Go back to my week 1 agenda. All right. Someone who has a group, take yourself off mute and tell me who is in your group.
I'll go first. It's myself.
Wait.
Do you mind?
Wait. Okay, Will.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, T. Okay, Will Tenahan. Who else, Will?
It's myself, Cooper Breed.
Wait, Cooper, hang on a second. Okay.
Your favorite, Dylan Becker.
Mr. Becker,
Yep.
I wouldn't put him in my group. My goodness.
Oh boy. Okay. And then our last one is Michaela. I don't know your last name. I don't want to pronounce it incorrectly.
Okay, wait,
That's okay.
Michaela.
It's Brigida.
Brigida?
Yep.
Okay, so that's Cooper, Dylan, Michaela, and Will. Your group 1. Fabulous. Somebody else.
I can go.
Okay.
So it's gonna be me and then Naomi Cromer.
Wait, Naomi Cromer. Okay. Got it. Your group 2, Bree and Naomi. Yep.
And then Mallory Pillsbury.
Ms. Pillsbury. Got it.
Abby Breen.
Abby. All right. Got it.
And Vanessa Babcock.
And Ms. Babcock. All right. You guys are group 2. Fabulous. Who else?
I can go for my group.
Okay.
So we're gonna have Nassim in it.
Wait, Nassim Ashkar. Got it.
Yep.
We got Jabari Oxley. Got it.
We're gonna have Madeline in it.
Madeline Dennison. Got it.
And we're gonna have Leah in it as well.
What's Leah Nichols? Got it.
Yep. And then lastly, we're gonna have Lily in it.
Lily. Lily Renzi. Got it. Okay, you guys, group 3. Fantastic. Fabulous. Fantastic. All right. Anybody else? Okay. All right. So Francesca, Sydney, Ian, Sarah, Adam, Greg, Reed, Dan, Shakaya, Rayanne, and Dia. You guys need to form groups, okay? So you can do it offline or whatever. You need to form groups. If you don't have a group, I will assign you to one. But by Monday, a week from today, Monday at 7 o'clock, Monday at 6 o'clock, I'd like you all to be in groups. If you don't have a group or something like that, send me an email, or if you can't find a group, send me an email. But next week, you're not behind. You're not behind, because most people don't start their project until next week. But next week, we're going to have to start that project. Okay. So those that I just rattled off, those that are not in a group, you need to get yourselves in a group, and then send me an email with your group names and things like that. All right. Those of you that are already in a group, thank you very much. I appreciate it. If anybody needs help getting in a group, send me an email and I'll help you with that. But we need to do that. All right, now with that being said, I want to talk a little bit about the project. So I got to share my screen again. Hang on. Okay. If you refer to the back of the syllabus, after this page on the syllabus, you'll see this group case analysis framework. This is going to be your project. Follow the framework. Follow the framework. Okay? It's just about everything that we've talked about, etc. Whoops, sorry, going too fast. Your output, let me say it again, your output, your deliverable is a PowerPoint presentation. So what I would do if I were you, not you, but if I were you, I would take a look at this group case analysis framework here. And I would start splitting it up. Okay, I would start splitting it up and, you know, getting people, you do this, you do that, blah, 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 etc. Now, with that being said, read each other's work. Read each other's work. Read each other's work. Don't put it together like a salad. You do the cucumbers, you do the tomatoes, you're responsible for the bell peppers, I'll put in the lettuce, and then give it to me like a salad that's not been tossed. Because if somebody contradicts somebody else, I take major points off. So in other words, if someone says, you know, let's take, for instance, Disney. I'm just bringing up a company. Someone says, you know, the target market for Disney is young Xers with children. And then later in the presentation, someone says the target market for Disney is millennials with older or lesser children or younger children or something like that. And you contradict one another. That's when you lose major points. Major points. It tells me you put it together like a salad and you didn't read each other's work. So your output is a PowerPoint presentation. You'll see there that I like videos, you know, background videos for the company history. You can show commercials in the videos or what have you. You're not going to be able to email me the PowerPoint. You're going to have to share it with me as a Google slide, a Google slide deck, because it's going to be way too big if you try to email me. You can't email it. Got to share it with me as a Google slide deck. That way I'll be able to see the videos and that type of thing. Now, I know what you're thinking. Let me stop here and stop sharing. How many slides should it be? And my spot answer is as much as it takes, as many as it takes. You are not going to present it. That would be cruel and unusual punishment for you. I would enjoy it, actually, if you presented. But that would be cruel and unusual punishment for you because these slide decks are going to be about 50 or 60 slides. There is a ton, an absolute ton of material that I want you to deep dive into Constellation Brands. So it's going to be, you know, that's why if you know you got 5 people in your group, you're each going to do about 10 slides or so. It should be about 50 slides. And you know, use graphics, use videos, use pictures. I love pictures. Love pictures. Pretend that you are going to present it to me. You're not. If this was a regular class and we have 14 weeks, you would all present it to me. But you can't, because it isn't. But it should be about 50 slides. We're talking, it's a major league PowerPoint. Those of you that have had me in class, it's basically that, only on steroids. So if anybody has any questions about what the deliverable is, remember the deliverable is a PowerPoint. And you're not going to present it. So make sure the information is readable in those slides. Make sure the videos play in the slides, because I'm going to watch every single video you put in. And I love videos. I give extra points for video. So that's what we're looking at. So split it up, but for God's sake, read each other's slides. I do not want somebody contradicting each other. And I've seen it before, and I don't like it. It gives me a rash. I just don't like it. So make sure that y'all get, your part done, and then you share it with one another, and you all read it over to make sure that there's no contradictory stuff there, because if there is, I don't like it. Any questions about the deliverable for the project or what's going on? Any questions at all? Now, let me go back. I'm gonna share my screen again. Hang on a second. Come on. All right. Your Constellation Brands case is due Sunday, midnight. And I actually think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's July 4th. Hang on a second. Let me take a look and see if I got a calendar here someplace. Let's see. No, that doesn't have a calendar. Hang on, let's see. Calendar, there it is. Okay. So it's the 29th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Saturday's the 4th. Sunday's the 5th. So for goodness sake, guys, that's a holiday weekend. There isn't anything I can do about that. But it's due July 5th, the 5th of July at midnight. Okay. I want that, yeah, 5th of July. That's right. It's 5th of July. So yeah, Sunday night. Let me go back down here and go back down here. Okay. What I want is I want one person in the group, not everybody in the group, because then I get really confused, and I'm easily confused. But I want one person in the group to share it with me. So have, designate that person, as soon as you get into your group, designate the person. All right, you're the one that's going to share it with Sicker. And so I want someone to share it with me. You can share it with me anytime you want that week, anytime during the week of June 29th. I don't care, as long as it's not after Sunday, the 5th at midnight, because that's when you turn into a pumpkin. Okay. Also, I think I said this before. It says on the syllabus discussion board, there's no discussion board the week of week 7. There's only 6 discussion boards, so there's no discussion board that week. That week, Zappos is due by Friday, which means Thursday is when your rough draft is due, and Friday at 5. Let's see. Friday at midnight. Friday at midnight. Because what I got to do that weekend, unfortunately, is July 4th weekend. But what I'm going to do is Saturday morning, I'm going to grade your papers. And then Monday morning, the 6th of July, I got to grade your presentations, because I got to have your grades in, I think, by noon that day. So I'm gonna be a busy beaver during the 4th of July weekend, but that's all right, man. I live for this kind of stuff. So now let me start sharing here again. So now, does anybody have any questions about anything I just said?
I have a question. The last week, I'm going to be in Italy. I will bring my computer. I will be 6 hours in the future, but I don't know how Zoom works over there. But I will have all my work
Well,
done.
hey, Francesca, have a great time in Italy. And if you do we have a quiz that day?
I
Oh, now
will.
see, I
Yeah,
gotta
we
share.
do.
Okay, so Francesca, you're gonna have to take the quiz. So make sure that when you're in Italy, I'm gonna open it up at 6:15 Eastern time, Eastern
Okay.
Standard Time, US. So in Italy,
It's 12:15.
unfortunately, that's gonna be about midnight.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to take it at midnight, unless you want me to open it up a different time for you, which I will do. But you got to send me an email because I can make an exception for you, Francesca, if you want me to open up at a different time. Just send me an email and I'll make an exception for you. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Have a great time.
Thank
That's
you.
exciting. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
And make sure you get your paper in by that Friday night.
I
Okay?
will.
And if you want to send it early, I don't care. It doesn't make any difference. You send anytime you want, Francesca. Just make sure it's in because I don't make exceptions after midnight, man. We all turn into punches. Okay. Thanks for that. Who else has questions or issues? Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Did you make a list or did you take note of who was not already in a group so we know who to contact?
I can send it. Let's see. 1, 2. I can send, yeah. Well, that's a great idea, Dan. What I will do is I will send a note out to everybody saying these are the players that are up for grabs. Francesca, Sydney, Ian, Sarah, Adam, Greg, Reed, you, and Rayanne and Dia. So I'll send, that's a great idea. I'm going to send that list out and say, these are still players to be named later. And then that'll help you guys all kind of pick groups. That's a great idea. Let me make a note to do that because that's an action item. And I'm not really good at writing down my action items. Hang on a second. Oh, there it is. Okay, action item. Send out no groups. Okay, I know what that means.
Thank you.
All right, great point, Dan. That was really helpful. Who else got questions or concerns or something like that? Anybody else? All right, fabulous, fantastic, wonderful. Let's meander now. Let's oops, gotta go here. Shoot, come on. Okay. Okay, there is a tremendous amount of information in this particular chapter. So if I were you guys, I would hit it pretty hard on your studying for next week. We are going to go over all 4 Ps of marketing and the different programs and the different strategies in each one of them. And that includes service marketing. So they jammed a lot. I've jammed a lot. I had to, don't yell at me. It's an accelerated course. I jammed a lot into this particular thing. So marketing programs really are the marketing mix. 4 Ps of marketing. If you think about marketing, everything starts with who you're going to do what to, or your target market. And then from there, so you look at target market, who you're going to do what to. And then from there, you look at your 4 Ps. Everything is based on that target market and then the product that you're going to offer or service, the price in which you're going to offer it, how you're going to communicate it to your target market or your promotion, and how are you going to get it to them, distribution or place. So the 4 Ps, everything usually starts with what are you going to sell? That's your product. What are you going to sell it for? How are you going to communicate it? How are you going to get it to them? Who's your target market? So it all starts with your target market, and then you develop a product strategy. You develop a pricing strategy. You develop a promotional strategy based on that target market. So everything in marketing starts with who you're going to do what to, or your target market. And then from there, you look at the marketing mix or the marketing programs. So product strategy, really, most books as well, and I do the same thing, talk about a B2C, business to consumer product strategy. However, most of you will work in B2B. But this is pretty heavily concentrated on B2C or business to consumer. You have your product lines and your product mix. Product mix is simply everything that the company sells. Product lines are closely related products within that product mix. Take Nike. Nike has an enormous product mix. They have shirts, shoes, they have running shoes, basketball shoes, they have hoodies, they've got sweatpants, they've got athletic equipment, they got just about everything, hats, you name it. That is their product mix. Product line would be all of their basketball shoes, or all of their running shoes, or all of their hoodies, or something like that. The variety is the number of product lines, and the assortment is the product line depth. Variety is also known as product line breadth, and assortment is product line depth. So breadth is the number of product lines, depth is how many items within that product line. Benefits of a product portfolio. Look at Nike. Every time Nike brings out a new product, they get instant distribution. They can also drive the Nike brand, and people will associate those products with that brand and with the quality in which that brand provides. They can standardize different packaging. They get distribution efficacy way better than anybody else. Look at Campbell's soup. By the way, I like Campbell's soup, but my favorite is bean with bacon. I like bean with bacon soup. Anyways, same can, same label. All they got to do is change the product name. That's what we call package uniformity. So benefits of a product lines and product portfolios, but the benefits of having a wide assortment in product lines is the economies of scale, package, product uniformity, and standardization, etc. Service products. Service products are way much harder to sell than tangible products. I, for 13 years, actually 14 years, was managing partner of the TCM Group. And we were a global consulting firm. We sold a service, consulting service. Very difficult to sell a service because a product you can smell, you can taste, you can feel, you can look at it, you can hold it in your hand, you can see if it fits. Services you can't. And one of the 5 main reasons that services are harder to sell than products are, number 1 is intangibility. You can't touch it, you can't taste it, you can't feel it. Number 2, you buy a service when it is performed. And if it's performed poorly, there ain't much you can do about it. How many of us have had a bad haircut? Lots of us. Okay, so you have simultaneous production and consumption. So there's a lot more, fear, I guess. It's also perishable. You cannot store a service. Take a look at an airline. When that airplane takes off, if the seat next to you is not sold, it can never be sold again. It's done. So pricing becomes really important. You don't want to give it away, but you want that margin of return. Look at a hotel. When the sun comes up in the morning, every room that isn't occupied will never be occupied again. It's gone. Heterogeneity, which means that whoever's performing the service is responsible for that quality of the service. I get my hair cut at Great Clips. I love that place, man. Anyways, go in there and get my hair cut. Sometimes I go to the same Great Clips, but different people work on my hair. Sometimes it's better than others because of the heterogeneity. And then finally, it's based on a client relationship. One of the key ways of selling a service is establishing relationships and then getting referrals off those relationships. So we talked all about that. You can review those slides if you want. New products. There are new to the world products. That is rare. Most of the time you have new product lines or addition to product lines. The most recent new to the world product I can think of is AI, ChatGPT and the rest. Those were new to the world products. Then you have new product lines. You have product line extension or new product line offerings. New product line offerings would be like a new flavor, caffeine-free vanilla cherry Diet Coke. There probably is one out there. I'm not kidding. There probably is. You can have improved existing products. Apple has made a fortune, an absolute fortune on this, because they're up to about the iPhone 276, and each iPhone has just a slight modification, but people got to run out and get it. You just got to rush out and buy that iPhone. I think seriously, I think there are about 17 of them. Anyways, those are improving existing and then repositioning products. Champion did a great job of repositioning the products. Champion used to look to be a lower end brand. They've repositioned their products to a more higher end to compete with Under Armour as well as Nike. And then, of course, cost reductions. The new product development process starts with idea generation, then goes with screening and evaluation, developing a prototype, test marketing, and commercialization. Basically, that's how every new product goes in. Now, when I teach marketing as an undergraduate, we do this in 14 weeks. I spend a week on new product development. But I can't here because it's an accelerated course. But Suffice it to say, that is the steps and stages in the new product development process. You'll also hear this acronymed. Is that a verb? Acronymed? As NPDP. New product development process. All right, so we're done with product. I went through it fast, but we're done with product. Let's take a look at pricing strategies. Pricing strategy. Hang on, I gotta get some water. I'm starting to get thirstier. Hang on. Pricing is one of the most difficult things that a marketing manager could do, bar none. Because as a marketing manager, you're sitting there and you're saying, well, you know what? I want to maximize my revenue. Because obviously the definition of marketing is driving revenue through customer contact. I want to maximize revenue, but I don't want to charge too much that no one will buy it. But I also don't want to leave money on a table. So it's really, really difficult. Most people, when they're pricing a product, usually look at competition and how they're positioned against competition. That's not really a good thing, but that's how most people and most marketing managers do it. So as we know, marketing is all about driving revenue through customer contact. Revenue is simply price times quantity. That's why it is so difficult for a marketing major, because you got to have that sweet spot. You don't want to leave money on the table, and you don't want to charge too much where no one will buy it. So the other thing that a lot of marketing managers do, and this puts Sears out of business, by the way, if anybody remembers the department store Sears. In order to gain more revenue, they have a tendency to drop price. Well, you got to sell a hell of a lot more if you're going to drop price, because it all rolls to the bottom line. And that's what was happening to Sears. And finally, people stopped shopping at Sears until they had a sale. So they just kept having sale after sale after sale after sale. Pretty soon they started losing money. Pricing is very easy to modify. And most marketing managers fall into that trap where, oh my gosh, I'm not making my revenue numbers for the month. I'm going to lower my price in order to increase sales, and they spiral downward. So pricing objectives. You got profit-oriented, sales-oriented, and volume-oriented. Profit-oriented is you maximize your price in order to gain more profit. Generally speaking, high-end products, Lexus, BMW, Rolex, Armani. Generally speaking, they use a profit-oriented type of pricing objective. They keep their prices high, knowing they're not going to sell a lot of units. But when they sell those units, their margins become huge. Volume-oriented is just the opposite. You price your product lower than others in order to drive more volume. Usually you give up service or something along the way, but your volume makes up for that lack of profit margin. Walmart has made a fortune doing just that. Market demand is meeting your competition or meeting what the market will demand. Very difficult for a marketing manager, because how do you know what the market will demand? Oftentimes it's trial and error. Market share is usually decreasing price. A lot of newcomers to the market will do this, decreasing price in order to buy market share and then increasing your price later when you get a foothold in the market. Cash flow is, generally speaking, looking at your cash flow and pricing it in order to recoup cash flow as quickly as possible. You got competitive matching, prestige pricing, diamonds, which, by the way, I understand are a girl's best friend. Diamonds. I mean, let's face it, folks, diamonds are a rock. It's a rock, but it has prestige pricing, and they keep the pricing high in order to enable that prestige. And, you know, there's no shortage of diamonds, man. There's a ton of diamonds in South Africa. Yet, they only sell so many in order to keep that prestige pricing up. And then status quo is maintaining your price throughout competition and throughout economic turndowns. We all know price elasticity because we had to take, at some point in time, we had to take economics. Inelastic products means that you will buy it at any price. Elastic products means that it doesn't matter what quantity you buy, it's all at the same price. The most inelastic products on the planet is medication. I always use insulin as an example. People will buy insulin at any price because actually they need it. And the alternative is not good. Very elastic types of products are usually traded on the commodities exchange, pork bellies, rice grains, corn, that type of thing. Price elasticity is higher when there's a lot of substitute products available. If there's a lot of competition, it's very hard to raise your price. Inelastic is lack of substitutes, insulin, medication, etc., perceived as necessity, and then other situational influences. Like gasoline right now. Gasoline is not infinitely inelastic, but it's pretty inelastic. But I'm going to tell you, at some point in time, we're all going to drive electric cars. Because when gas is $5 a gallon and rising, I don't care how inelastic it is, we're going to find alternative means of transportation. Service products, service quality is very hard to determine. Service quality is based on reputation and references. Cost pricing is very hard to determine because, and this was a problem with my business, you know, I would do it on a per day basis. I would price on a per day. But some days I'd spend 12 hours and some days I'd spend 6 hours. But it was very hard to do it. So its cost pricing is very hard to determine when it comes to services. It's also very hard to describe the service if you've never had it before. It made it very difficult for me to sell our service products. And also sometimes customers can perform the service and they don't need someone else. I'm not very good at it, but a lot of people will change their own oil. I mow my own grass. I do not, however, cut my own hair, although I ought to try it sometime, see how that works out. So base pricing strategy, price skimming, pricing at high to skim profits, Lexus, BMW, Rolex, Armani. Price penetration is maximizing sales and lowering prices. You'll notice, guys, pricing, and I don't understand why one calls it an objective and another calls it a strategy. But pricing strategies and pricing objectives are just about the same thing. Objective is what you want to achieve. A strategy is how you're going to achieve it. but it's basically, if you look, they're basically the same, saying the same thing. Your objective is to maximize profit. So how are you going to do it? You're going to price skim. So don't get those confused, but make sure you study the difference between the objective. Remember, an objective is what you want to achieve. And a strategy is how you're going to achieve it. Pricing presentation is low to maximize sales. Freemium pricing, most apps, many apps have freemium pricing where you get the basic for free, but then if you want other benefits, you have to pay for it. Prestige pricing, diamonds, which by the way are a girl's best friend. Value-based pricing, EDLP, everyday low pricing. Walmart made a fortune on it. Competitive matching, Sears used to do this all the time, put them out of business. Let me move this here. Just say, I'm gonna move that way up here. Non-pricing strategy is when you're emphasizing other things besides the price. Can't think of an example of that right now. Hang on a second. I don't know. And then product, service, promotion, the experience of it. All right. Adjusting the base price, we see a lot of this. We all know this. This is where you kind of get into the spiral. Discounting, reference pricing. Hang on a second. Hang on. In class. Okay, I'm in class. I'm in class in the basement, so just come on in and do whatever you need. Okay, bye. Sorry about that. I'm back. My daughter, she broke her elbow. She can't drive. So I was afraid she was stranded someplace, but she's not. So we're good. Okay. So these are ways of adjusting the base price. And then we know what sales promotion is. Generally speaking, sales promotion is activities that happen at the store or couponing or something, and they're incentives to purchase a product or add value to that product. Okay, we already talked about that. Here's some examples of sales promotions. Wait. Okay. All right, let's go to supply chain. Supply chain is the same as the final P, which is place. Supply chain is how do you get it to your customer. So with supply chain, one of the things that marketing managers and marketing people try to do is crash or crush the supply chain as much as possible in order to make it as efficient as possible, in order to get the product from manufacturer to distributor to retailer to the customer as cheaply as possible. There's a lot of different steps involved in that: operations management, procurement management, logistics management, marketing, channel management. And all of those are part of supply chain management. But make no mistakes about it. A supply chain manager, their entire existence, their entire universe is taking costs out of the supply chain, but however, being as efficient as you possibly can. Amazon. I don't know how they do it, but they have operational excellence like I've never seen before. You click on something, and in a day or a day and a half, it gets to you. And if you're a Prime member, it gets to you for free. That is operational excellence. Walmart is trying. They are doing their best to try to compete with that, but they aren't even close. And that's what I call operational excellence. And that's operations, procurement, making sure that you can buy goods and services, as well as buying raw materials and other things for production as inexpensively as you can. Logistics is all about getting it from point A to point B as efficiently as possible. And then, of course, marketing channel management. So the supply chain, the definition of a supply chain is the interconnection and integration of all the different channels within the company and within the value chain. You're going to hear me say value chain a lot. Value chain is a product that starts all the way from raw material all the way to the end user. Think about bread. I like to think about bread. Think about how many transactions go in to when you buy a loaf of bread at Wegmans. It starts with someone selling a seed to a farmer and then growing the seed and then sending harvesting that grain, sending that grain to a mill, then bleaching it, sending it to a bakery, then sending it to get wrapped, sending it to a distributor, sending it to Wegmans, and you go in and buy it for $1.49. That is what we call the value chain. The supply chain is all the people that supply goods or services into that value chain. So you got connectivity, community, and collaboration. Everybody is trying to do this as efficiently as possible at the lowest cost. Nobody wants to pay for transportation. No one wants to pay for shipping. And that's why the supply chain and the value chain is so important. China amazes me. I mean, they get stuff, they manufacture it in China, they ship it all the way over here, they send it to a distributor, they get it to a store, and you go in and you buy it. And the store's making, 100% markup on it. How do they do it so efficient? I don't know. But that is supply chain management. So contact efficiency is moving product as quickly as possible, not just product, but raw material and other things as quickly and efficiently as possible from one point of the value chain to the other point of the value chain. Omnichannel is bringing together all the communications, products, and services seamlessly to the customer. So, everything I talked to you about with regards to that bread is all seamless to you because all you know is you walk into Wegmans and it's right there and it's all wrapped up and sliced for you. That's what we call omnichannel. Okay, there's 3 different types of distribution. You've got exclusive distribution. That means that only a few places will sell it. Cadillac has exclusive distribution. Hummer has exclusive distribution. I wouldn't say Tesla, but Tesla doesn't even have distribution, retail distribution. But I guess Tesla. Selective distribution is giving a number of outlets to sell it, but keeping control of that. most of your golf clubs, TaylorMade, Callaway, etc., have selective distribution. They also control the price in which it is distributed. That's selective distribution. And intensive distribution is Kraft mac and cheese. You can buy just about anywhere. You know, that's when everybody has it. So that's marketing channels. Goodness. Let's see some of that. Hang on. All right, power and supply chain. Who has the power and supply chain? You've got legitimate, rewards, coercive, information, and reverent power. Legitimate power is a firm's position in the supply chain. It's the firm that is needed in the supply chain. Oftentimes with legitimate power, you're talking about raw materials, people that can get raw materials less expensive than the other. Rewards power is power in the supply chain when people can help each other and help each other out. Coercive power is when someone is big. I'm going to use Walmart as an example, but Walmart is coercive power because they're huge and they take positive outcomes away from other people. In other words, one of the things Walmart does is make other, their suppliers hold the inventory for them and things. And it's the price of doing business with Walmart. They're huge, so they can have coercive power. Information power is usually those that are good at data mining or having data or understanding market research, etc. And then, of course, referent power is just liking to deal with somebody in the supply chain. All right, IMC is our last little bit in this chapter. IMC stands for Integrated Marketing Communications. Some people would call it promotions, but I call it integrated marketing communication because it goes beyond just promoting. There's a lot of other things involved with it. IMC is the coordinated use of different vehicles in order to get one's message across. I always think of Flo. Flo is the iconic spokesperson for Progressive Insurance. Flo is an excellent example of IMC because Flo's on social media. She's on billboards. She's in magazines. She's on the radio. She's on TV. She is in alternative media. All the different things. They even have a Progressive field where the Guardians play, and Flo's all over the outfield. That is integrated marketing communications. It's integrating multi-channels, multi-vehicles in order to reach different target markets. Think about insurance. They have a huge target market. Anybody between the ages of 26 and when you stop driving at 90 or 100 or however long has to buy insurance. So they needed integrated marketing communications because their target market is so vast. It spans demographic, psychographic, generational, et cetera, et cetera. AIDA model. I don't teach the AIDA model in promotions management. I teach the hierarchy of effects. But AIDA, in communications or promotional strategies, you try to get attention first. That's the top of the pyramid. Then interest, then desire, and then action. So as you're putting together your creative strategy, the first thing you got to do is grab somebody's attention and then gain their interest and then have some type of hook in order to gain that desire, and then some type of call to action. That is the AIDA model. Just a second. Okay, just a second. All right, in promotions or in IMC, there's two different types of strategies. There's a push strategy and a pull strategy. I'm going to start with push strategy. A push strategy is advertising to your distributors or your retail outlets in order for them to buy and sell your product. A pull strategy is advertising to the consumer in order for them to go into a store and ask for your product. So let's say, I'll give you an example. I always like to use beer as an example for this. Let's say I've got a beer, Ron's Red Ale. If I used a push strategy, I would have all my sales representatives call on Wegmans and other bars in order to stock my Ron's Red Ale. If I used a pull strategy, I would advertise to consumers and have, say, go to your local beverage store or bar and ask for Ron's Wicked Ale. That's a pull strategy. Think about medication and drugs. Drugs use both push and pull strategy. They use a push strategy. They call on the doctors to have the doctors prescribe their medication. They use a pull strategy because then they advertise on TV to consumers and they say, go ask your doctor or pharmacist about this drug. That's both a pull strategy and a push strategy. One's going to consumers, the other one's going to the distributor or the doctor. So advertising, they got 8. There are 7 forms of traditional advertising. Those 7 forms are TV, radio, magazine, newspaper, billboards, direct mail, and poster. That's what we call traditional. And then we have digital. That's online, mobile devices, social media, and other things like that. Online is different than traditional advertising. Again, traditional advertising is TV, radio, newspaper, magazine, billboard, direct mail, and poster. And then you got digital, which is online, including social media, YouTube, TikTok, and all the other online outlets. Public relations is getting hits, H-I-T-S, hits, getting hits in the media, positive hits in the media. A lot of companies use public relations to build trust, empathy, and bonds with their traditional target market, etc., and in order to look better in the public eye. An example, and I'm very proud of this, by the way, is our Teddy Dance for Love. We always get a lot of good PR for our Teddy Dance for Love, which happens every Valentine's Day. And we raise over $100,000 for Camp Good Days and Special Times. We get a lot of media coverage from that. That's PR. And then finally, most B2B, business to business, and not necessarily B2C, very few B2C actually, but most B2B use personal selling as their main form of advertising, because oftentimes their product is complex and there's a lot of competition. So they use a persuasive type of approach in order to communicate and market their product. Goodness gracious, I got through it. How about that? All right, let's go here. Come on. Okay, there was a tremendous, and I'm recording this, by the way. So if you want to go back and look back at the recording, you can. But there is a tremendous amount of information in that particular chapter. Make sure that you study it. Remember, we have a quiz on next Monday, opening up at 6:15. And the only thing due this week, make sure you do your discussion board. Post by Thursday, respond twice by Sunday. So keep up with your discussion board, study for the exam, and Chapter 7 video lecture this week. Any questions before I let you go? 5 minutes early, by the way. 5 minutes. 5 minutes early. Any questions? All right, then. I will see you all later.
Thank
Thank
you.
Bye,
Thank you.
sis. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, Sicker,
What's going on, Dylan?
how are you?
I couldn't be any better, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I've gone through a bunch of interviews and stuff. I'm actually interviewing with Paychecks and Paylocity, so just figuring things out as it goes. But yeah, I'm actually going out to Rochester this week, and I was wondering if you wanted to play some golf while I'm out there.
When are you going to be in Rochester?
I'll be there from Thursday to Saturday.
Thursday and Friday I got leagues. Not gonna happen this time, man.
That's too bad. That's all right. I'll be out in Rochester again, so I'm sure we'll.
You gotta
find some
let
time
me
to play.
know. Wednesdays are really good days for me. If you can ever get here on Wednesday.
Okay. Okay.
Mondays
Cool.
and Wednesdays are really good days.
Hey, and I'm sorry about that, the long paper. I wrote the paper and I put it in AI and it was like 4 pages. I'm like, oh my God, this is.
It was good, Dylan. I liked it, man. Don't get me wrong. It was really good. It was just a little bit long.
I know your first comment was, this is too long. I'm like, I'm like, I know. And I don't know if you saw when I shared it with you. I even wrote in my comment, I'm like, I'm sorry, this is way too long, way longer than it should be. So, and then I saw the comment. I'm like, yep, I figured that would be said.
No,
So-
everything's good, man. It's all good stuff, Dylan. All good stuff.
All right, good. Well, it was good seeing you. I will see you again soon.
All right, take care, buddy.
Have a good night.
Bye. Ooh.